So a man goes into the doctor. The doctor said, "What's the problem?" And the man says, "Doc, sometimes I feel like a teepee and sometimes I feel like a wigwam." The doctor thought a minute and said, "We're just too tense." Have you ever been arrested, cuffs, put in the back of the car, driven off? Well, I have and I haven't. So I want to tell you a story that happened to me about 15 years ago that culminated in my being on the ground, cuffed, and shot. Yes. And I'm going to draw the story, and so I hope you enjoy. This this is a wild one. I'm not going to lie. Here we go. Well, okay, here we go. Here is the story. So, about 2008, I went into radio. I was a co host of a morning show, and it's my opinion that the morning show is the most important show in radio because it gets everybody up and out and to work, and you want to be funny about it. And it was just an amazing experience. And I was there for about 10 years, got to know everybody from big wigs to not big wigs. But the main thing is that my co-host, who also co-owns the radio station, was a sheriff's deputy, so he knew all the authority. And about 3 or 4 years, when I'd been at the station, an officer came in. I don't know if I should say his name or not. I mean, there's privacy. Uh, he said, Fuss, which was my name, the Big O and Fuss Show. He said, "You're an actor. You've been in theater for like 30 years. We need your help." I said, "What do you need?" He said, "We're going to do a SWAT training tomorrow, and we want you to be the bad guy." Oh well, that's my forte, being the bad guy, you see. So he said, "Be at the police station at 10 o'clock a.m. in the morning." Man, I got there, went in, everybody, "Hey, Gabe, hey, Fuss," because they all knew me. And Tony was like, "Let's meet the SWAT people." So we went in, and the first thing I noticed is that they were all holding guns that were as long as I am tall, and I'm pretty tall. Now, this disconcerted me. The other thing is they were wearing armor. And I was like, Tony, are we certain that the guns are not loaded? He said, "Don't worry about it. We do this all the time. Now, we're going to go do this at the hospital. We're going to hide you, and they have to go to every floor and try to find you. When they find you and they give you a code, that means you've been shot dead and you're to fall on the floor." And I was like, "Okay." So he said, "Let's go." We go, and we're going to go in a cop car. I've never been in a cop car. I'm like, "Wow." And then I got this idea. I said, "Hey, let me ride in the back and just drive me around downtown just a couple of times just to get rumors started." And Tony goes, "Fuss, if your father found out that you were in the back of a police car, he would come up to the station, and I don't think we have enough bullets to put him down." And that was the truth. He said, "Get your you know what in the front. You can play with the computer." Well, I just had a ball. So we go to the hospital, huge hospital we have here, AMMC. We go around the building, and instead of 7 SWAT team members, which is how many we had here, there were 50. There were helicopters. There were snipers on the roof. I looked at Tony. I said, I thought you said it was just going to be, ours. He said, I never said that. He said, it's going to be all right. Don't worry about it. He said, the only problem is they have to go through the whole building. It could take a while. I said, fine. They put me in the business district, which is just hidden away, uh, surrounded by, if not elderly, then just older women doing the billing. And I thought, oh dear. So he found hostages. He went to County Tech High School and got 2 girls from the theater class. I was to hold them hostage. So we get to talking. I'm in theater, they're in theater. Everything is just kind of going kind of nice. Uh, Tony walks in. He said, "Oh, I forgot to give you something. You need a weapon. Here." And he hands me this ridiculous rubber gun painted pumpkin orange. I'm like, what am I supposed to do with this? Club a cop upside the head? He said, no, just use your imagination. You're an actor. And he said, I want you to really sell this this project. I said, okay. So we sat there 2 hours. I was in the corner of a of the business district, and I had moved the cubicles so that they couldn't get just right to me. And so the girls and I are talking. We're having fun. Hey, what group? What have you played in theater? And they told me, and then they asked me, and I said, I'm a big guy. I only get a few roles. I've played Horton the Elephant in Seussical. I've played Santa Claus twice. I'm like, I'm just stereotyped. So anyway, we're having fun. We're talking. Everything's good. 2 hours pass. The older women are looking like, what is going on here? And they've been told that if I'm found and the SWAT team comes in, they have to get under their desks or they will fail the test and the hospital will have to go through more training. I was not very liked at this point. But anyway, so, 2 hours goes by. We're getting hungry. We're getting thirsty. We're running out of small talk. It just, there you go. But I like our police department and our sheriff's department. They've never done me wrong. So, okay, about 2 hours in, we hear this god awful noise. It sounded like a stampede of elephants coming down the hall towards us. Now I get a little antsy, okay? I'm a little bit like, oh dear, because I remember the guns that were bigger than I am. Plus, they have all kinds of weapons. I mean, it's scary. I have a orange rubber pistol. Thank you so much. And I finally said, gals, I think this is it. And about the time I said that, the door is kicked open. 20 or 30 SWAT members just pour into the room. The poor older women did their best to get under their tables. The SWAT team comes over to me. Now, the first thing that happens is they point these enormous guns at me. So what I do is I take the one girl. Now remember, these are teenage girls. I grab her by the hair and pull her in front of me. And then I keep the other one in reserve because I have to hold the gun with the other one. And they're just yelling, not the girls, the SWAT, cussing me. You let those, you know what's go. We're gonna effing kill you. And you know what? I'm a man of faith. I'm not gonna lie. But my brain just went haywire and I just started saying the worst things to these guys. I was like, F you and F your mother and blah, blah, blah. And it was terrible. And then it happened. I realized that I was at a disadvantage with these two girls. So I took the one I was holding by the hair, and I kid you not, I threw her at the nearest SWAT team member. Threw her. And they just bustled her off. I got the other one and I put her in front of me. They weren't going to shoot me unless they shoot her. Had her by the hair. All right? Let her go, let her go. I'm going to kill this girl. I swear I'm going to you just try me. You just try me. And that's when I noticed that there were 20 or 30 red laser lights, little circles, all over my body. And I realized they're pointing these enormous guns at me. It was at this point that my bladder said, I want to play anymore. I don't want to do this anymore. This was dumb. You could be at home, you could be reading a nice book, you could be drawing, but no, you're standing here with people pointing guns at you. And I mean, I'm not lying. I could tell they were pointing them at my head. So I get this girl in front of me. All right. And I'm still yelling. They're still yelling. It was real, man. It was spooky. All right. So one officer, Officer Collins, I learned this later, dips down below the cubicles, makes his way over out of my line of sight. Okay? I'm yelling at this girl. I've got the gun to her head. I'm yelling at them. Do your worst. And I felt a piece of cold steel touch my ear. And then I heard a click and my code word, which means I was dead, which means Officer Collins, I don't know if it's an AK 15, 16, I don't know anything about guns. He put this weapon of mass destruction against my head and pulled the trigger. They didn't have to ask me to fall on the floor. I fell on the floor. I'm like, he shot me. There were no bullets, but there could have been. So my instructions were to stay there. You're dead until we tell you. And they came up, and first of all, this guy that was about 9 foot tall, wide and tall, he grabs my arms and cuffs me. Of course, I'm dead. Did you know? Did you know that handcuffs are designed to pull your shoulders slightly out of socket to keep you from fighting? Nobody told me that. Oh my God. It was like having a gorilla pulling on my arms. Okay? Another officer comes back. Now remember, they're wearing armor. He really wasn't paying attention to everything. I mean, he was doing his job. I don't mean it that way. But he came walking up on me and failed to stop when he got upon me, kicked me dead in the face accidentally with these steel shoes. And I was told not to make a sound. Oh, trust me, I made sounds in my head. I think I invented a few curse words. And I'm just laying there, and they're like, oh, so and so code and this and that. And he's gone. He's dead. The girls are alive, blah, blah, blah. And I'm sitting there going, if I ever see Officer Tony again, I'm going to get him back. I'm going to get him back for this. Okay, so the thing is over. All right, I'm on the floor. They uncuff me. And this 9 foot officer, swear to heaven, with one hand, reaches down and picks me up on my feet and brushes me off. I'm a rather large mammal. It was incredible. So Tony says, "Let's go eat. We're going to go listen to the main cop, and he's going to tell us what we did right and wrong." We got in there. That cop was mad. Some reason the SWAT team members didn't do what they were supposed to do. And then he said, hostage taker, stand up and tell these people what they did wrong. Okay, well, now look, these men are armed. Okay? They have a license to kill. All right? I ain't going to do that. I'm not going to do it. So I stood up and I said, can I just ask which one of you killed me? And Officer Collins raised his hand and said, I did. And he said, I just snuck over and I took the cubicles and pulled them apart. And, you know, I said, I will give you props for this. When those red laser lights hit me, I basically turned into a Neanderthal. I mean, I couldn't have formed a decent thought if I want to. You know, it was just kind of like gun at head, gun at stomach, gun at, you know. And so he thanked me very much. Well, Tony comes over and he goes, let's go eat. I said, Officer Tony, I'm going home. I'm taking 2 nerve pills. I'm going to go to bed and I'm going to take several deep breaths for the rest of the evening. I, he said, all right, I'll take you home. So I go home. Here's the neat part. So in the radio station I work for on Fridays, we go to and don't laugh, we go to a donut shop. And if you have something that you have going on in the community, you can come in and tell us about it and we'll, publicize it. I was sitting there talking, and here comes Officer Collins. He gives me a big smile. Cops have the best smile, okay? A Bob's your uncle smile. Comes up, pats me on the shoulder, which just was awful. He goes, how's the shoulders, Fuss? I said, did you know that the cuffs are too short? He said, of course, that's to keep you from fighting. He said, it'll go away in no time. I thanked him. I bought him breakfast and everything. And that was my taking hostages, getting shot, and helping the SWAT team, which, hey, I was glad to do it. I would do it again. Now, here's the funny part. They now all know me, and they know what I drive. So I was driving home from the station one day, and a cop car pulls up behind me, lights flashing. I thought, oh no, because I've never been pulled over. I pull over on the side of the road. He pulls up beside me, and it's one of the police officers. And I'm sorry, I'm going to be honest. He flips me off and says, "Ha ha, bus," and drives off. And I was like, that there will be a reckoning for that. The very next day, same thing happened. It was the sheriff. He pulls up. I pull over. He pulls up next to me and he goes, "How's the shoulders, Fuss?" And just laughs and just squeals away. I mean, I was like, okay. Well, my wife's vehicle broke down, so she had to borrow mine. And she came in at the end of the day and she had had a conniption. I said, what's wrong? She said, "I was pulled over. I was scared to death." She said, "But instead of pulling behind me, the police officer pulls up beside me, flips me off, laughs. It's the sheriff, by the way, sees that it's Kathy, and she said this look came over him." The next day he went to where she worked and he said, "Kathy, I'm so sorry. I thought you were Fuss. And I'm so sorry. Please forgive me." And of course she did. And she thought it was kind of funny, but it just, I can just see it. I can just see her getting pulled over and the sheriff thinking it was me and doing that to her, and then seeing it was my beautiful wife. And I mean, what? Oh boy. I mean, that's the fun I had at the radio station. We did stuff like that all the time. We had so much fun. You know, the officers of the law, they would come in. We would just have a blast, you know. And you know, policemen and women, I think it's fair to say that they have a rather subversive sense of humor. They have to have. They put their lives on the line every day. So no, if they come in and tell a joke that is just horrific, I don't blame them. They have to detox from this stuff, you know? And that is why I support the police. I don't care what anybody says. I support the police. So anyway, that that's the story, and so much more happened. So much. It just became a game of one-upsmanship. Okay, uh, Big O, who was my morning show partner, he had a van with lights on top, and it would be nothing in the middle of the night, which I would still be up, look out the window and there are lights that look like police lights flashing. And I'm like, oh no. And it was him. It was him. Well, there's the story. I know I kind of clickbaited you a little bit there, but it really did happen. And I really was scared to death when it started happening. But It is a memory I will never forget. It was fun. A little, but yeah, I would gladly do it in a heartbeat. So anyway, that's today's video. Who knows what I'm going to do next time, but we'll do something fun. I promise. So until then, ta-ta for now.